Hi, welcome to the Pearls and Polish Podcast, episode 51. My name is Rachel. I'm your host, coming to you from just outside Sacramento, California. If you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. This is going to be a slightly longer episode, so make sure you have something to drink, something to snack on, something to work on. We have lots of stuff to cover. First off, I got myself a fancy mic, and I'm still figuring out like the best place to put it. Remembering not to touch anything here so I don't bump it. So bear with me as I figure out this little mic. But let's get started with where you can find me. My email, Instagram, Ravelry links are all in the description below, along with all the dyers, makers, and designers I mentioned in today's episode. So make sure you check those out. Now, straight to finished objects. The first one I have to share are some socks, of course. It's summer sock camp. So these are my first autumn colorway. This is Autumn Leaves. For those of you who are just joining us, I am doing Pasley Knits seasons boxes for my summer sock camp. I wanted to say year of socks. It's not year of socks. Summer sock camp. Pasley Knits is out of Canada, and they put out 4 boxes, one for each season, last year. So I saved all those colors and wanted to do them this camp season. So I am just starting autumn. I started my second autumn colorway, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I need to make some like self-assessments, realign my goals. My goal was to do 4 sets of socks for each season in the 100 days that is summer sock camp. We're in about day 60 something, and I'm only on my second colorway in autumn. So now I need to reassess and decide, am I really going to push myself to try and finish these last 6 colorways, or am I going to be okay in maybe not finishing all of them? If I'm being completely honest, I'm not going to be okay if I don't finish all of them, but that's just kind of me and how I operate. There is a very high possibility that I could finish them. These are Shorty socks. They're not going to take long, but it's just the like really focusing and not starting other things like I have been. So we'll kind of see where we're at. I am doing the same pattern for all of these socks, so it's not hard. This is the Shorty sock set by Summer Lee, and there are actually like 4 or 5 different variations of a Shorty sock in that pattern. So that's linked down below. So it's doable, but I just need to like focus and do it. So there's that. My next finished object is my Frankie V Sweater. This is a test knit. Let me back up a little bit. This is a test knit for Miss Fowler, whose first name is, I always forget her first name. I have a friend whose also last name is Fowler, Kelly Fowler. I have a friend whose last name is also Fowler, and I always want to say her name, but she's not a knitter. So I know that's wrong. So Kelly Fowler is doing the Frankie V Sweater. This pattern should be coming out, I want to say August. So it's got this beautiful V neck, beautiful 1x1 cuff, Italian sewn bind off for all of the cuff, hem for the neck as well. It is beautifully written. Her pattern is actually written for stripes, and I'm not much of a stripy girl, so she was okay with me doing a single color sweater, and I think it turned out beautifully. I have not had a chance to take pictures of me wearing it because it is summer in California. And here that means like 105 of dry heat. It's supposed to drop down this weekend into like the 90s, and that feels nice. But once we hit that 105, 108, I think at one point we were like 109. It's a little much. So that's been kind of hard with kids and with the puppy, in that we're very limited to like times we can be outside because it's just too hot. And we don't have humidity here, so it's just very dry heat. So it's not sweater weather right now in California. But definitely once it kind of cools down a little bit, I'll get some pictures with that sweater on. I'm very excited to be wearing it this season. The yarn, I know I talk about it every time. The yarn that I use is called Hufflepuff in Autumn, and this is by Ruby and the Yarn Co. And I love these colors. This has been in my stash for quite some time and just hadn't gotten around to using it. Was waiting for like the perfect pattern, and this was the perfect pattern for it. So I did the size, I think I did a size 3, and I used almost all 5 skeins of DK weight yarn. So when that pattern comes out, I will link it and make it available. I will put it in my stories on Instagram, but it is a wonderful pattern. Make sure you check that out. All right, going straight to whips, works in progress. Starting with my next colorway for Summer Sock Camp. This one is called Cabin in the Woods, and I love that green. Again, these autumn colors are my jam. The first sock is done. I finished it yesterday. It took me about 2 days. Like I said, this is not a long process. I can do cuff, like the 5 rows, that is the leg, and the heel flap in 1 day, and then I kind of do all of the gusset decreases, which is about 30 rounds, the second day, and then I do the rest of the foot and the toe, and that's it. So if I like knuckle down and only work on Summer Sock Camp on these socks, I might be able to make the deadline. I have not started the second sock, but here's the yarn. But I think it's gorgeous. I'm really happy with all of these Shorty socks and all the variations of color. They're just so fun. I'm gonna be very excited to wear them over the, like when that transition from summer to winter. I know in some areas it's called autumn. We don't have much of an autumn here. We have that like couple weeks where it's just slightly chilly enough where you need a sweater, but not so chilly or cold where you need a jacket. That's autumn here in Sacramento area. But anyways, that is that. These are in my sushi bag made by Gabs of Slip Slip Sis. They have a YouTube channel. They also have an Etsy shop, so check that out. Next are my solar system socks. These are one of those like, I'm going to cast these on because I want to. Is this a reason why I haven't been working on my other socks? Yes, most definitely. So I talked about these last week, I think, where it's a, yeah, I did talk about these last week because I struggled with a postcard. So Gauge Dye Works, I believe they're in Canada, did this colorway based on the solar system. So each color is in reference to a planet, and then like the darker lines, well, all the colors referred to units of measurement. So you have these darker lines that are longer distances, the lighter lines are shorter distances, and it like perfectly represents our solar system. So I started these socks and I decided I'm doing them 2 at a time on the same needles. I don't typically do 2 at a time on the same needles. I like having them separate. I also decided I was going to do these toe up. I don't typically do toe up socks. I am a heel flap in the gusset girl through and through. But I wanted these to be as even as possible, and I wanted as much of the solar system in my socks as possible. So I decided to toe up 2 at a time on the same needle. And we have got some progress. So I started with the sun here at the toe, and I'm so glad I did. Now seeing them, I was like, this was the right choice. Next planet, I have to check because I don't remember the names of the planets in order, so I have to check. That pink is Mercury, then Venus, this bluish is Earth, this red is Mars, and then this is all Jupiter, and then the next one is Saturn. So I am doing the Monday socks by Sarah Opie. She's S-Knits on Instagram, and it has this like a little gusset, but you're supposed to use a short row heel. And so right here in this corner, you're going to see this like triangle kind of dip. This is where the gusset is. Now, you're supposed to do a short row heel and then close up the gusset and then keep going. I decided not to do that. I am going to do an afterthought heel. So I don't have a heel in just yet. And the reason behind that is I wanted to use up as much of my yarn as possible. I don't know how long these socks are going to be. I'm also, because I made decisions at the last minute, I'm working from both ends of my yarn ball. I know people have opinions about how you're supposed to work from the yarn ball. If you're supposed to work from the outside, if you're supposed to pull from the inside, if you're going to work from both ends, then you need to like measure it out or just do what I'm doing. People have opinions. I typically, if I'm going to work from both ends of a skein, I will typically weigh out the skein and then split it in half and cut the yarn. However, I made this decision at like 9 o'clock at night when everyone was sleeping, and I did not want to pull out and make a ton of noise and get my yarn winder, my ball winder, and everything else. So I decided I was going to do this way, and I will suffer the consequences later. I'm getting to the point where I'm suffering the consequences, but it's fine. So the goal right now, I am right here. So I just finished this purple, which is Saturn. So I have quite a bit of distance to go before I get to Uranus. And then I've got some more distance to go for Neptune, and then this way. And then I get to Pluto and the end of the gray. So I'm going to do at least the gray chunk to get to Uranus. And I say it like that. I know someone's going to say something. I say it like that because my husband was a junior high teacher, and that's how he would say it, because junior hires get really silly when you name that planet how we say it in English. And so we have always just said it in a more Spanish accent, because that's how you say it in Spanish, to just quell the sillies. So go with it. But I'm going to probably get to where Pluto is, measure Pluto out from both ends, and then find the middle and cut it. And then use that section to start my heel. It'll all make sense. It makes sense in my head. But this is going beautifully. I've been taking pictures after every section and posting them on my Instagram. So if you're not on my Instagram, definitely hop on there, because you see more of like behind the scenes. Like if I go somewhere to knit, I usually take a picture. Lots of pictures at our Taekwondo studio, because I spend a lot of time there working on knitting projects. So definitely check that out. But anyways, Gauge Dye Works posted all of my posts on their stories, and I had a little fangirl moment of, oh my gosh, they posted my stuff. Just because I've followed them for a long time and really enjoy their work. So make sure you check them out. They have some beautiful self-striping yarns. This is by Hello Stella, and the dyer's name is Lindsay. She's based out of Canada, and this is her colorway Prism. It is the most gorgeous neon color I have ever seen, and I've been saving this skein for a couple years. Now, Lindsay does not specialize in variegated colors like this. This was a like once a year special thing that she would do. I don't know if she's going to continue doing it, because she has now shifted from acid dyes, which is what the majority of yarn dyers use, to all natural dyes. And so check out her Instagram page. She's been posting a lot of information there about how she's using flowers and iron and other ingredients to make these amazing colors. The other thing Lindsay specializes is non-superwash wool. The really short version of my very long rant is, if you were to put this yarn and get it wet and stick it in the dryer, it's going to shrink. It has not been treated to prevent shrinkage. However, there are definitely times when you want a yarn like that. If you're doing a sweater and you are doing color work, that would be a great time for that. If you're doing a sweater and you're doing a technique called steeking, that's when you purposely cut through your sweater to create a cardigan. You want a yarn like this, because the fibers are kind of sticky and they're kind of wild like this, and they want to hold on to each other. So that would be a great time for that. Socks are also great with non-superwash wool. I know people have opinions about non-superwash wool or superwash wool with nylon for socks. From my experience, they make great socks. Are they going to felt a bit in your shoe? Probably, but I've had superwash yarns do that. Will they wear out faster because you don't have the nylon? Maybe, but if you have 60 pairs of socks like I do, you're not going to be wearing these every day, right? You're going to be able to rotate through them. So, like I said, this is a once a year colorway that she puts out, and I love it. Neon is not my jam when it comes to my shirts or stuff I wear around my face. We've had this conversation multiple times. When it comes to stuff around my face, I'm very particular. For socks, this makes me so happy. I'm doing this string of lights pattern for these socks. I wanted something with a little texture, but not something that was going to take over or fight with the colorway. And I think this is working out pretty well because that colorway is still shining through beautifully. You just have just a wee bit of texture that's going to just keep it interesting. So, started these. I have not worked on these a ton, but that's okay because that's going to lead into our next section, which are knit-alongs and make-alongs that are currently happening that I am participating in that you can participate in too. So there are 3 that I am doing right now that are still open that you can jump in on. So the first is Poultry Palooza. That's hosted by Gabs and Shaylee of Slip Slip Sis. They have a channel here on YouTube. They're very active on Instagram and Ravelry. It is going from July 1st to August 31st, so you still have a couple weeks or a couple days, depending how you see it. But it's knit a chicken, post a picture on the Ravelry page, and get entered for prizes. I am submitting a prize for that. It doesn't look like there were very many entries the last time I checked. So please, if you are doing Poultry Palooza, make sure you put your finished object pictures in that chat so that you can win a prize. The next one, of course, is Summer Sock Camp, hosted by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. She has a channel here on YouTube and is also very active on Instagram. That is going from May 24th to August 31st. So you still have a month and change. It's a very easy make-along. You just knit socks. There's no limit on yarn weight, size, and none of that. You just knit socks. Post pictures of it on your Instagram, post pictures in the Ravelry group, and get entered for prizes. But the most important part is knitting socks. I will say I have not been very good about posting my finished objects in the Ravelry group. It's just one more thing to do, but of course I'm posting them on Instagram, so it's a lot of fun. The last one is the Hello Stella Make-Along, which is why I casted on these socks. And it's being hosted by Lindsay of Hello Stella, and it is from July 15th to September 2nd, so you also have a month and change. And the whole idea is you knit something with Hello Stella yarns. It could be some of her new stuff that's coming out, it could be stuff that is older that she's put out, but just use a Hello Stella yarn, use it in some sort of project, and I believe there are prizes for that as well. So make sure you check out all their Instagram pages or YouTube pages. Those are all linked down below, and get some more information on those and join us. All right, story time. This is, oh man, buckle up. This was really interesting. And there's a reason why I wanted to share this. So I'm going to share the theme and then I'll come back to it. The theme is know your worth and trust your gut. So last week I woke up and I had a message on my Instagram account from a person who doesn't follow me on Instagram, but they wanted to commission socks. And I've had this conversation with my sister and with friends before about why I don't sell the things that I make. And the short version of this conversation is because if I were to charge materials and time, people would not want to pay that. For a pair of socks, it would be materials, which is about $32 for a skein of yarn, and time. I would say 30 to 40 hours. And if I'm charging minimum wage from California, I believe it's $16 an hour. So that's like a couple $100 for a pair of socks. Some people would say, yeah, that's worth it because it's a handmade item. It's supporting small businesses because most of the yarn I buy is also hand dyed from small businesses that are women owned because those are things are important to me. You're paying minimum wage. You should be paying more for the hours that are put into it. You are paying for my time and expertise, and I've just knit a lot of socks, so I kind of know what I'm doing. You're also paying for the wear and tear on my body for making these socks. And most people think, thank you, no thank you, I'll just buy a pack of socks from Target. And there's nothing wrong with that. So anyways, this person wanted to buy socks. And it sounded like they wanted socks that were already made. And so I explained, everything is custom made. I'll be happy to start this conversation. What exactly are you looking for? And to make this a very long story short, they wanted 6 pairs of socks. So I did the math and I said, okay, that's going to cost you $18,000 US. Half needs to be paid up front. The other half needs to be paid before I mail them out. And I said, well, that's too much. What about 3 dozen socks? I said, okay, that's still going to be so many thousands of dollars. Like, you understand what you're asking. And then somehow it got around to they wanted 3 pairs of socks, so 6 socks total. While I'm having this conversation on Instagram with this person, I am talking to my husband and like, look at what's going on here. I'm also texting my sister screenshots. My sister works for a tech company, and so she knows stuff. She's also younger than I am and lives in a really cool city, so she knows stuff. She's more in touch than I am. And so she kept saying, this doesn't sound right. This sounds off. And I agree, like, this doesn't sound right. At one point, this person asked if they could pay less. It'd be like $5,000 for my work versus the $6,000 and change that I was charging. And my instinct was like, yeah, that's reasonable because that's a lot of money. And then my second thought was, no, the price is the price. And I'm not going to sway on this. There is no family discount. There's no mass discount. You either pay it or you don't. And so I set some very firm guidelines or boundaries really, of I will knit you 3 pairs of socks. It will take me 6 months. You will pay half now, and you will pay the other half before I mail them out. I will send you a Google form that will have all the information I need, and with your options of yarn. And I need an email address so I can send you a PayPal invoice. And they said, no, we don't have to do all that. Just send me your email and I'll just send you PayPal money. And that was like a red flag to the max. I'm like, no, this is how we're going to do it. This is to protect both you and me. This is the information I need. I need an email address. And then I didn't hear anything right away. Meanwhile, I had texted my sister a picture of their profile, and she did a reverse Google image search. I don't know how you do that, but she did a search, and it turns out this picture was someone who was an adult film star who had taken their own life 2 years ago. And so this person wasn't even the person they said they were. I was like, how tragic that you're using some person's picture who's not even alive. And it's clearly not you. And you're trying to scam me money in my work. So immediately blocked and reported their account, and that was that. But all that to say, know your worth. You know, if someone asks you, can you make me a sweater for my friend's birthday? Know what you're being asked. Like, make that person understand that they're not asking a small thing. Now, of course, if you want to do it as a gift, that's a completely different conversation, but know your worth and also trust your gut. Like, there were so many red flags about this conversation that it just felt wrong. And so I went and checked in with people that I trust, and they confirmed, yeah, this feels wrong. And so after reporting and blocking this person, I immediately sent my sister flowers for doing what we call a vibe check and confirming that I was not losing my mind, that this was super sketchy. So, end of story. I did not lose any money. I did not lose any work. I did gain a sense of self-worth because this was super sketchy. Anyways, that's my story. What's next? Reading and watching. What are we reading? What are we watching? We are going through, and by we, I mean I am going through the last of Jonathan Stroud's Lockwood & Co. series. It's called The Empty Grave. I've read this series before, really enjoyed it. So I'm happy to go through it again. I'm super bummed that Netflix canceled the show though. Like, this was a really good show and they canceled it. And I'm so bummed / upset. But the synopsis is, in England, there are ghosts that come out at night, and the only people who can see them are children and teenagers. Once they reach adulthood, they can't see them anymore. Except the ghosts are all malicious and they're all trying to kill people. And so these kids are going out at night, like killing ghosts or just like getting rid of ghosts so that people can live safely. And it's this one little agency called Lockwood & Co. And they are off ghost hunting and also trying to figure out why things are happening the way they are. So it's a great series. It's pretty clean. So I would say late elementary school, older, like middle school, high school. Not necessarily one I would listen to in front of my kids. My kids are younger, elementary school. Not because it's like foul, but it's just like, oh, this could be a little scary for them because it's about ghosts that are trying to kill you. But, use discernment. The book we are listening to with the kids is A Hat Full of Sky by Terry. I just heard screaming. The kids are downstairs with their grandparents and the dog, but they're watching TV. The book we are listening to is A Hat Full of Sky by Terry Pratchett. It's part of his Discworld series. My husband's a huge Terry Pratchett fan. He got to meet him once. Really lovely person. And I have never read any of his things. So when I was out of town traveling at the beginning of the summer, my husband started the first book with my girls, and it's called We Free Men. Very funny. I definitely suggest listening to it because there are lots of different accents. So it's nice kind of matching the accents with the people that they correspond with. So we're on to the second book. It's about a girl named Tiffany who learns that she's a witch and she's learning how to be a witch. And then these little, they're not pixies. They're part of like the fair folk, but they're really little, and they cause lots of problems, but they're very kind-hearted, and how they kind of help her out. So definitely check that out if you haven't read that. What I'm watching, I just finished the series Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. I know it's been out for a bit, but finally got around to watching it. Very interesting. It is animated, but it's definitely not for children. Obviously with samurai, there's a lot of blood involved. It also has some adult content, so, check that out first. But it was beautifully made. The artwork is beautiful. The storyline was pretty good. So if you're into that kind of stuff, check it out. All right. Life stuff. We are going camping with some friends. I am what you would call an outdoorsy girl, not an outdoor girl. I like being outside, and then I like going back inside. I like hikes, as long as there's food at the end. I like hobbit hikes, as I saw it posted once. I'm not one who says, let's go backpacking for 4 days across the wilderness, or let's go camp in the middle of nowhere for 2 weeks. Not my jam. It's not my jam. I'm an indoor cat who sometimes ventures outside. But we're going with a bunch of friends who are outdoor cats, who love being outdoors and camping and backpacking and all that. They love it. So we're tagging along. Kids are super excited. A bunch of their friends are going. So it'll be fun to just hang out with friends outside, sleep in a tent outside, and then come home and take really hot showers and get really clean. But we're excited for that. And then one of my kids had a birthday last week. it was hard in that, like, oh, it's been so many years. My kid is now in that almost preteen, but not quite, but we have some of the preteen attitude coming out. So, lots of feels that came along with that birthday, but it was really great. Had lots of great time with family. There were some very intentional things that she wanted to do, so we got to do those things together, and that was really fun. All right, last episode, not last week, but last episode, we had a giveaway for the 50th episode. And the item was this skein of Woolberry. This is called Button Jar. And this is one of the collective colorways. So you could only get this if you were part of the Woolberry Collective, of which I am part of the Woolberry Collective. I think this is one of their, like, most purchased colorways, or one of their, like, there was the most people excited about this colorway. Lots of people rejoined the collective because of this colorway. So I've been saving it. What better use than to gift it as part of my giveaway? So I went through all the comments, read each one, tried to reply to as many as possible, and we did a random number generator, and the winner is Selfish Knitter. Congratulations. If you could send me an email, it's linked down below, and I will get this mailed out to you. So congratulations. I'm hoping to have a giveaway for our next episode because I am 5 people short of hitting 700 subscribers. When I started this channel like 3 years ago, right before the pandemic hit, never ever would I have thought that I would have close to 700 subscribers. I never ever thought I would have 100 subscribers. And so there's been progress and growth over the last couple of years, which has been really exciting. So definitely want to celebrate those milestones. So if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe. 2 clicks. You'll get a notification every time we put out an episode. Once we hit that 700, we'll do another giveaway and celebrate 700 subscribers. So that's what I got for today. Thank you for spending a bit of time with me. I always enjoy spending time with all of you, talking about all the knitting things. Have a wonderful day, whichever day you end up watching this, and I will see you guys next time.